The Vikings are one of the most mysterious and romanticized peoples in history. In movies and games, we see them as fierce warriors in horned helmets, raiding villages, burning towns, and drinking from the skulls of their enemies. But how accurate is this image? Today, we'll break down the myths about the Vikings and uncover the truth about who they really were. Who were the Vikings? First, the Vikings were not a single nation, but Scandinavian seafarers from Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. They lived between the late 8th and 11th centuries, raiding, trading, and settling new lands. Despite their reputation as ruthless warriors, Vikings were also farmers, craftsmen, merchants, and even diplomats. Myth: Vikings wore horned helmets. One of the most famous Viking myths is that they wore horned helmets. However, archaeologists have never found a real Viking helmet with horns. This image was created by 19th-century artists designing theatrical costumes. In reality, Vikings wore simple iron or leather helmets, or sometimes none at all. Myth: Vikings were only raiders. There is no doubt that Vikings were known for their brutal raids across Europe. They attacked monasteries, plundered towns, and terrified local populations. However, they were not just pirates, but also skilled traders. Vikings traveled across Europe, reaching Constantinople and even deep into Russia, trading furs, silver, and slaves. Some even founded settlements and entire states. Myth: Vikings were savages. Many people imagine Vikings as filthy, uncivilized barbarians. In reality, they had complex laws, a well-developed trade network, and even their own writing system, runes. Unlike most medieval Europeans, they washed regularly and took care of their hygiene. Archaeologists have found Viking combs, tweezers, and even toothpicks. Viking women: truth and myths. In most medieval societies, women had little power, but Viking women were different. They could own land, divorce their husbands, and even fight in battles. The legendary shield maidens appear in Viking sagas, though historians still debate how often women actually fought. Truth: Vikings were master sailors. One of the Vikings' greatest achievements was their shipbuilding. They created long, narrow drakers that could sail both at sea and on rivers. Thanks to these ships, Vikings reached Iceland, Greenland, and even North America, 500 years before Columbus. Myth: Vikings drank from their enemies' skulls. There is a legend that Vikings drank from the skulls of their enemies. However, this is a misinterpretation of ancient texts. Vikings did make drinking cups from animal skulls, but there is no evidence that they used human skulls. The end of the Viking Age. Why did the Viking era come to an end? By the 11th century, many Vikings had converted to Christianity, and European kingdoms had built stronger armies and fortifications, making raids much harder. Over time, Vikings became part of the growing European states, and their adventurous lifestyle faded into history.